All right, all right, all right. Let me know what's going on, everybody. Welcome to Tech Thursdays. Let me know in the building. Go ahead and post in the chat if you guys can hear me okay. Mic check, mic check. Let me just know. Usually it takes a little minute on my end. I want to make sure that you guys can hear me in the chat. Let me know if you guys can hear me in the chat. Let me see. What's up? What's up? Welcome to Tech Thursdays. What's going on, everybody? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? All right, let me just see. I just want to see if you guys can hear us okay. Let me know in the chat if you guys can hear me okay. Let me just know. Let me know. Let me know. All right, we're gonna get this is gonna be special, y'all, because this is the first Thursday, the first live of Tech Thursdays, right? I gotta know what day it is, but we're gonna be talking about all sorts of amazing things, right? We're gonna be talking about technology, and I just want to make sure before we jump into today's episode that you can hear me. All right, I got some love. I got some love. Good to see you. Good to see you. You can hear me loud and clear. All right, all right. Listen, let's go ahead and jump into it. We got so much to cover on this Tech Thursdays. Now, if you're not familiar with who I am, my name is Justin Burns. I am the founder of a couple different technology companies. Maestro, which I've been building since 2016. We have thousands of customers. And then also Apps Built with AI, which is one of our communities of over 70,000 people. That community grows of builders, creators. And the goal of this Tech Thursday, right, is to talk about all the things that's happening in technology, but also give you the spin on it so that you can change your perspective and help you tap into the $4 trillion industry. All right, $4 trillion industry, and it's growing every single year. But when I actually started this family, when I started in technology, I was like a deer in headlights. Like I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't have any people who went to Harvard or Yale and all these other, prestige colleges. Like I didn't know what it meant, what technology meant. I thought it was just something that was just far out there. And then what ended up happening is just over the years, I started studying, I started learning. And as you guys even know, the world is moving at a rapid speed. I mean, you guys know that, right? Like the world is moving. And so you have to keep up with what's happening in the world. All right. You got to know with technology. And if you don't know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, then you won't be on the inside. But the goal of Tech Thursdays is to bring you the hottest things happening in AI, in when it comes down to automations, when it comes down to futurism, all those different things. So we're gonna be talking about news that's happening, and then also I'm gonna be giving you guys some amazing, amazing ideas, like I'm talking about some gems. So y'all want to make sure you stick around until the end because I'm gonna be sharing some of my most profitable technology companies. Like if I wasn't so busy building my companies, Maestro and Apps Built with AI, these are the companies that I will be pursuing. And I'm going to be talking about some technology stocks and things that I am investing in. Let me know below if y'all excited about that. Give me some ones in the chat if you are excited about that, because we will be talking about all things tech, but I'm going to be breaking it down. So even if you haven't been in the tech space, don't worry. I'm going to break it down so that you can understand. All right. I'm seeing my people in the chat. Let's go ahead and jump right in today, y'all, so we can cover some amazing things that's going on in the technology world, all right, which I'm excited about. So this is the first thing. We're going to jump right into it. Imagine waking up and finding out the AI model that you rely on every day has been banned globally by the US government, right? So for 19 days, that was the reality for Claude Fable 5 users. Some of you might have saw this, but Claude dropped a bombshell, which was Fable 5, right? And what I'll tell you is that I was excited for Fable 5 because Claude just had dropped 4.8, and it was a pretty decent model, right? It was a pretty good model. But what ended up happening is the government stepped in, and that's also a conversation that we definitely need to have, right? The conversation is all around government step in, right? Now we know that when technology companies or companies get big, right? That's when that's actually when the government decides to step in. They got to put their nose in though that business. But what I will tell you is that Claude, that really affected a lot of users. I know some of you were affected. I think it was actually in the favor of Claude to kind of have this sort of mystic thing, right? I don't think it kind of hurt their company. I don't think it hurt them at all, right? And so Anthropic just and the reason why I say that is because one of the things is that this whole saga became like this big drama fest, right? And so that was kind of like one of the things that happened. If you guys were affected by this, like trust me when I say Claude was not affected by this at all. I think it actually kind of gave them this kind of perceived value of making their company successful, right? And so that kind of leads to us even talking about it because you have to know that there are more powerful AI models that are out there, right? And so that's what I always like to tell people. There are there's a lot of powerful models out there. Okay, so if you're seeing it, then you just know like it had to be some heat, right? For that to happen. So again, pre-release government access, threat intel sharing, jailbreaking score. What they were saying with the Fable 5 release was that it could be jailbroken. Now, I don't know how true that is or not, but they were saying basically that, that this could be jailbroken. What it meant is that there was some security. We're gonna put the two thumbs up. The security things were there. So, most people, like I like to say security, that just means AKA the government was stepping in and wanted to go ahead and take, see like how they can stop, in my opinion, Anthropic. And Anthropic, the models are just going to keep getting better. As some of you know, I am a huge, Anthropic fan. I wish them a lot of success. I've generated a lot of money from AI agents and setting up a lot of things, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. All right, let's move on to the next topic, which is Anthropic takes over OpenAI. All right. So there has been a massive shift outside of Fable 5, which is that Anthropic has taken over OpenAI. All right. In the race for revenue. All right. So this is a massive shift because when we think about the AI power dynamic, right? Last year, OpenAI was essentially like the undisputed king of or queen of revenue, right? But not anymore because according to recent reports, Anthropic's run rate revenue just crossed $30 billion. Yes, I know. I always tell people when you start talking about the technology space, we start talking about the B's. All right. We start getting into the B's. So basically, what's happening is Anthropic just crossed over $30 billion, and it completely shifted. Now, the annual run rate, right, that only puts them about $6 billion ahead of OpenAI's current pace. Okay, so how do they do it? Well, they bet everything on enterprise while OpenAI focused on consumers. And in my opinion, like this was the biggest mistake that OpenAI made. And as you guys probably saw, OpenAI did a lot of pivoting over the past, 6 months or so. I don't know if some of you have saw that, but there is a lot of pivoting that OpenAI is doing, right? If you guys saw, they shut down Sora. I mean, you guys saw this. They shut down Sora, the video app. Like they put a lot of money into that, but then they start losing this AI race. And so what ended up happening was essentially Claude started realizing like how powerful they were, and they started focusing on enterprise tools. Like if you guys notice, Claude doesn't even have, they dominate the space, and Claude doesn't even have a video app, which is insane. So, so it kind of showed you where you bet, right? You bet on the enterprise, and then the consumers will follow. So that's one of the lessons that you will see, right? And so just 16 months ago, Anthropic was only doing $30 billion in revenue. That's like, I want y'all to just see this because it's going to give you perspective of where things are headed in the technology space, right? Which is, think about this. Companies are leaping 20x multiple over the span of like 12 months, right? It used to take these companies almost 2, 3, 4, 5 years to get to these crazy evaluations. And so now, because of the output and because of how fast things are moving, these companies are like literally like Anthropic 30x'd their business in over a year. That's crazy. Like that is absolutely insane. 30xing your revenue in almost just a year is crazy. Okay. But Anthropic's biggest news this week wasn't just financial, because on July 1st, the U.S. Commerce Department finally lifted, like we talked about, the export controls on Claude 5 and Mythos 5 after a 19-day global suspension. And the ban was actually triggered when Amazon researchers found a jailbreak that caused the model to write exploit code. All right, so I think it was some other stuff, just so y'all know. And so they agreed to pre-release government access for future frontier models and basically rapid threat intelligence sharings. And they are co-developing a jailbreak severity scoring framework with Amazon, Microsoft, and Google. All right, so we are entering, like I talked about, we are entering in the era of heavy federal oversight for frontier AI. Okay. So one of the things then, and how you can actually apply this, and how I think it's important to discuss these things, right? Anthropic isn't just making more money. They actually are, and this is also for company evaluations, where when you put your focus on the wrong things, especially as you're growing your company, right? If you're not listening, that's the biggest lesson that I will have for tonight. Like if you're not listening to your customers, then you could be left in the dust, right? And so, but they're not, listen, you know, the race for AI and everything that's happening, like I tell everybody, again, it could change overnight. It could change in 2 months. It could change in a month. It's crazy. All right. So that's one of the most powerful things. And if you're watching this and you haven't started building something yet, it doesn't matter, because there's so much time, as you're going to see in some of the stories and I'm going to cover. There is so much capital that are going into these companies. I'm talking about billions of dollars. And if you choose to sit on the sidelines and just watch, it's only your own fault. Okay. Everybody agree? So it's only your own fault. And that's the goal of Tech Thursdays, is to kind of give you this new insight. That's why I had this vision of wanting to do this show for so long. I didn't know how I was going to do it with my schedule of running 2 technology companies, but I said, man, I got to give the people something, because this is stuff that I love to look at, analyze, evaluate, and see how I can create my company to be even better, more efficient. And so one of the things that also happened, again, is that Anthropic is actually reportedly spending roughly 4x less on training compute than AI to get there. So in any business, you save more money by reducing costs, which is what Anthropic is doing. You basically save more money by reducing costs. And then again, you get to increase your profits. All right. And listen, Anthropic's revenue is 80% business customers, making their income far more stickier than consumers' subscriptions. It just shows you that you have to, it was actually interesting. I saw this yesterday on a, it was actually somebody who had posted on on one of our Facebook, one of my Facebook friends. And he had posted a screenshot of a guy who had 1,100 customers that were paying $1,000 a month, right? And he was just like, "That's crazy," right? It blew his mind. I told him, like, he was asking me, he's like, "What is your thoughts on this?" And I said, "It's in the messaging. When you focus on the people that are going to spend the money with you, that's how you're going to increase your bottom line, right?" And that's the bet that Anthropic made. And that's why, again, 80% of their customers are business customers. And that's why they are, again, because business customers are more stickier than consumer. Now, if you have a consumer app, this does not mean that you're not going to be more successful, but it's just something to keep in mind. All right. So you got the Anthropic is doing $30 billion in revenue so far. OpenAI is at about a 24 to 25 billion. God, like, y'all hear how crazy this sound? Like, just a couple years ago, these companies were like $1 billion, right? And that's how crazy AI and the whole technology space has become, right? Like, that's how crazy this space has literally become, because like that is going to keep growing. And again, I tell people we're entering into the age of the $1 trillion companies. When Anthropic goes public, which this is not financial advice, I'm not telling you what to invest in, but one of the ways that you will can increase your wealth this year is, in my opinion, investing in both of these AI companies, because, like I told you, Anthropic 30x'd their entire revenue in the span of 12 months or 16 months, which is insane. Like, so I'm not telling you, I tell people one of my main stocks that I'm going to be holding in the next year or so is Anthropic, right? And that's just one of the things that is happening. All right. So that is what I would recommend to everybody here. You want to make sure that you are holding you want to, once they go public, that is one of my recommendations to everybody here, is to invest, right? Invest if you can, because I promise you that Anthropic is going to be $1 trillion company. But you know what's going to be interesting, though? What's going to be interesting is seeing how they're going to be able to maintain, if they have any ethics, right? The ethics are going to be questioned, because when you get to that level, like I said, there's a lot of government oversight. Okay, there's a lot of government oversight. So that's going to be interesting, right? So again, $30 billion run rate, quietly taking over OpenAI. And again, the enterprise bet paid off. When you make bets, that's exactly what ends up happening. The bets pay off. All right. Let's move on to the next topic, which is, all right, Meta's reality check. One of the things is happening, like I told you guys, is that when you get to these levels, you have so much government oversight, right? So the White House is expected to announce a new voluntary AI standards framework this week, formalizing a 30-day pre-release government review window. All right. So this is happening because, and the reason why you're going to see a lot of government oversight and a lot of AI models is because these models are getting more powerful. Okay. And so Google is actually reportedly talking. They better talk, because actually that's what they're doing now. Google is trying to talk with the government so that they don't go through what Anthropic just went through. Meanwhile, our homie Mark Zuckerberg, he may not be your homie though. He doing some crazy stuff with Facebook, but he had a bit of a reality check, because basically Mark Zuckerberg admitted that the AI agent development hasn't accelerated as quickly as they hoped, despite Meta planning to spend up to $145 billion on AI infrastructure this year. The transition to agentic workflows is proving harder than anticipated, right? So this actually is a contrast to the hype that we've been seeing. Now, that does not mean that AI agents are not very, very important. And what I will tell you is, me and my team have been using AI agents, but from what I read, Zuckerberg was really hoping that the acceleration and the adoption of AI agents was going to be far more adopted than he had originally anticipated, right? So, but there's and the reason why I'm telling you this is because, you know, there is, you know, like Meta actually increased and bumped their capex to about 125, 145 billion dollars, right? So Zuckerberg is now managing internal expectations about how fast that hardware actually translates to actual super intelligence. And that's what they are trying to do right now. What they are trying to do is they're trying to accelerate super intelligence. But from looking at this, again, it's just not there. All right. It's just not there. So that's just one of the things because, like I said, there's a government oversight that's happening with the White House, with the government. And as you get bigger and as the models get more powerful, and they're already powerful, in my opinion, you are going to see a lot more government oversight. All right. So, what I want to do also is kind of share with you some things that are also happening. Like I said, how you can apply this in your business when it comes to this is you still have time to start to apply agentic workflows into your business. And also, you still have time before this starts to take a turn. All right. There's going to be a lot of turns that's happening, in my opinion. Like I always like to say, man, like the space is just going to heat up. The agentic space is going to heat up. You know, you have different tools like Hermes. Now you have other tools. Like all these tools are going to get even more, you know, much more sophisticated. Especially, you know, everybody was talking about, you know, OpenClaw, and OpenClaw is still around and still a powerful model. But there's just so many people. Like I said, there's more models that are coming, and the race is going to keep heating up. All right. And that's why I told you, if you are watching this and you are sitting on the sidelines and you're still thinking about building something, this is showing you, and that's the goal of the weekly show, is to show you where the money is flowing, where you can start building. That's why at the end of this show, we're also going to be talking about some ideas that have some legs, that if you don't have an idea or if you're thinking about some other ideas, I'm going to show you guys some heavily researched ideas before we start to get started. Y'all excited? Let me know in the chat if y'all rocking. We're gonna grow this show, man. Make sure if you haven't, man, share this out. Share this out to your to all your audience, man. We want to grow this number. This is the first show of many, and we're gonna keep evolving it and making it better. All right. So go ahead and post in the chat if you are getting some value out of tonight's show. And like I said, man, we're gonna continuously keep growing this entire show. So make sure you share this out. All right, let's jump into where the money is flowing. All right, money is flowing. Let's go ahead and switch to that topic. I want to talk about this. Where is the money going in AI? Well, you could kind of look no further than a fund called Menlo's $3 billion fund, which is crazy, right? So Menlo, if you guys don't know who Menlo, many people have not heard of Menlo at all, but Menlo has been around for 50 years. All right. And so a lot of times what I tell people is if you want to know where the money is flowing in AI, start to study not just startups like TechCrunch and all, and you know, Product Hunt and other sites that you can study where the money is flowing in tech. But one of the things I will tell you that's powerful is that you can also look at companies like Menlo. A lot of people don't know these companies, right? You can also, and I'm gonna show you guys this real quick. You can also look at if you are looking at that, you can also look at like what Y Combinator. If you haven't heard of Y Combinator, I'm gonna pull it up here in a second. But how many of you guys have heard of Y Combinator? Y Combinator has produced companies like Stripe, like PayPal, like many companies have came from them. So they are a very, very good site to look at. Let me just show you guys this really quick. So you can really be at, this is what's going to put you ahead of the curve when you guys are able to look at resources like this And it kind of gives you this perspective and it gives you this lens of knowing what is happening. But Menlo actually invested in Anthropic $1 billion. Let me just tell y'all, when you're able to get on the ground floor of some of these like pre-launch, you invest in these companies, like especially on the ground floor. I mean, like there's a lot of people who invested in Apple back in the day, like crazy, crazy evaluations. So one of the things that I will share with you is, like Menlo, as you guys can see right here, this is, if you haven't seen it, this is YC Combinator. YC Combinator is a successful company that have produced actually OpenAI. It's a really good site to look at through valuations, like Airbnb, Stripe, all the big companies that we see, DoorDash, Scale, even some companies that you probably never heard of. So this is actually how, when I pursue ideas or when I'm looking at the valuation of any type of companies, I'm always coming here and seeing what is going on. And you can kind of see, like I said, you can even apply here, but it's always good. One of the things that they published recently was they actually started publishing what they believe investors should invest in, right? And so you get to come here and you can actually see what companies that they're actually invested in, and it may give you some ideas. It gave me a lot of ideas about some of the things that I was switching to, which is fire. All right, so this is Menlo. Menlo is a company that is, I advise everybody watching this, go ahead and do some research. Menlo Fund has been around. Most people don't know what it is, but basically, they essentially just raised about $3 billion. All right, they raised about $3 billion, and basically what you could do is look at where they are investing. All right, you can see like they had a bunch of different components. I just want to show you guys that really quick so you guys can see. But they had a successful, they had a very, very successful company track record. But basically, what it means for you is that beyond them raising about $3 billion, Menlo runs a dedicated $100 million, yes, $100 million anthology fund jointly with Anthropic, just to fund startups on Claude. So for some of you that are actually running your business on Claude, look into this, because your company could potentially, I'm not saying like it will be, but your company could be potentially funded from Claude. Okay, so you might want to look at that because again, there's a fund, because I'm telling you, like, once you're building and you're building these products, I promise you, it's just going to get better and better and better. All right, so that is the moat of them, and that's one of the biggest things. And they were actually a early backer of Anthropic. All right, they were early backer, which is, again, they put $1 billion. That's a lot of backing. They put some B's behind it, right? So $1 billion is now worth almost $14 billion. All right, which is crazy. But there's some other things I want you to look at as it comes to the fund cap table. There's also another company, which is General Intuition. They are actually training agents on $2 billion like gaming systems. Many of you heard of Fortnite. That's why I told you guys, like, these are companies that you need to be looking into, which are powerful. All right. And so that's one of the things that has really blew my mind about really all of this that is growing. That is just phenomenal, right? Like the space. That's why I love this space. The space just continues to keep growing. And it's just like, I'm telling you guys, like, there's more capital that's going to be put. And that's what I'm telling you. If whatever you're building, you need to go ahead and like say, look, we gotta go ahead and get this right. All right, let me go ahead and show you guys one other company that will give you a lot of ideas. That's amazing, right? So one of the things is, there's a company that you may not have heard of called Bending Spoons. I want to show you guys this company really quick. Bending Spoons has essentially, Bending Spoons is a company. I want to show you guys this in a second. But Bending Spoons is a larger company that essentially goes, they buy and revive software companies, right? So if you ever heard people say, oh, software is dying, I tell people, yes, there's a lot of changes that's going on in the marketplace when it comes to software, when it comes to technology. However, don't listen to everything that you hear, because if you look up Bending Spoons, this actual company, the Playbook, and you might even want to invest, because it's absolutely amazing what they're doing. But what they did was they actually go, and I'll show you guys this real quick. They go and they buy companies that aren't performing so well, like technology companies. And what they do is they actually turn these companies around. Okay. So they actually have a $25 billion market cap. They did 600 million. Yes, I said $600 million in quarter one revenue. And then they netted $27 million in just the first quarter. Notice I said netted, right? Which is crazy. So what they do is literally, I mean, they've been around for a while, but they were able to IPO. So you might want to look into this stock as well. But this is one of the contrarian stories in tech, because instead of building anything new, they buy aging but beloved companies like AOL. Many of you have heard of. How many of y'all, and I know some of y'all had an AOL account. How many of y'all had an AOL account? How many of y'all had an AOL account? I know some of y'all, look, y'all was like me. Y'all was exactly like me, okay? Exactly like me. You was like me with AOL. I know you was, okay? What you had the CD, you had the CD, and you had to pop it into the computer, and you only got 50, you only got 30 minutes. You know what I'm talking about? I know some of y'all had them AOL discs. I know you did, okay? So I know you did. So basically, essentially, let me pull this back up. Bending Spoons is a contrarian company. They don't listen to everybody that says, oh, this is dead. They've pretty much purchased companies like AOL, Evernote, Vimeo. I didn't know I when I saw it, I was like, man, it's crazy. They own Vimeo, Eventbrite, Meetup.com. And then what they do is they revitalize them. Watch this, because I want you guys to see this lesson in tonight's Tech Thursdays. They see, and this is number one, cutting costs. They revitalize them with cutting costs. This is like, I want y'all to just see this, because this is going to give you guys way new lenses that is going to revolutionize and change your perspective on everything. Because how many of you guys are seeing, as you're watching this, you're seeing the actual like recurring thing, right? Like Anthropic was able to top, like we always hear, you got to spend more money. And of course you want to spend more money, but the way that you're able to grow any type of business, especially technology businesses, which do eat a lot of profit. Ask me how I know, because I've spent $1 million on development. But what I'll tell you is the way that you grow a business doesn't just come from you just going out and trying to grow that business through marketing and sales. Yes, that's important. But one of the biggest lessons is about cost cutting, because in any business, costs can get completely out of crazy. So what I've learned over the last couple of years as being an entrepreneur is always cutting costs every month, because costs can get crazy, especially our costs. We have employees, and so I always have to be looking at, y'all need to be doing this too. I'm always looking at how can I shave money off, not by cutting an experience, or not by, trying to, undercut things that will essentially go against the value. But what I'm telling you is you need to be looking at the costs, and paying attention to costs and looking at options, because that's what Bending Spoons did, right? They went into these companies that were funded for billions of dollars, and they did a couple different things. Number one is they cut the cost of these brands, because a lot of them had overinflation. And then two, they looked at new features or cutting other features. This is so important as you're building. You need to look at, all right, what is it about how can I not just cut costs, how can I look at maybe there's a product out there that you're building, especially if you're vibe coding or you're building some piece of technology. You need to be looking at what features can be added to a current product that's already out there. Or some of you may have heard me talk about this in trainings and in our summits, where I talk about that the opportunity is in having less features, right? That's the opportunity for me. When I'm looking at evaluating companies, and some of you may not even know this, but I just started a venture capital fund called Haru Investments, which is a spiritual technology company, and we invest in not just for profit, because I have a belief, and I want you to take on this belief. It is that you can make a difference in the world, and you can also make a profit. And I think some people don't think that that's possible with technology, but I'm here to tell you that that's not true. You can make a difference. That's why I have spiritual brands. I'm also investing in companies that can make the world a better place. Now, you can also do it for the profit, but that's why that was the goal of this show, is to expand your thinking, to let you know, like, hey, listen, there's so many options out there. So going back to this, as I just came back from a 2-week vacation, which I'm excited about. Your boy is rested, right? I came off a cruise from the Bahamas. And I very, as an entrepreneur, you got to take some rest time. For the last 6 months, we've been growing this company. Aspect with AI, I'm still running my company, Maestro, and so I just was like, look, yo, I gotta take it. Your boy gotta take a little break, right? So I took a little break. I'm back, and I feel very well rested. And so with our other venture, which is our Haru Investments, I have somebody else kind of running point on it. And yesterday we had a meeting, and we were looking and evaluating things. And that's what we look for in companies. We're like, okay, what are they spending? What's their, obviously some of you have heard of EBITDA, right? And what you're looking at is and especially if you plan to ever sell your company in the future, you need to be looking at these numbers and these metrics, because a lot of people don't look at these numbers. They just look at the tools. You need to be able to look at these numbers, like what are the current expenses, right? How can we reduce those while still maintaining the value in that? And then also looking at new features. How can we add new features? And then also, how can we maybe add less features? You guys always hear me talk about one of my buddies, Sam Ovens. He owns a company called school.com, and he went into a very crowded marketplace where many people told him not to do that. Well, he went in and he created a simple tool, a simplified tool for coaches to make it super, super easy. Now, I think they're evaluated at about $5 billion because of that, because he took a risk. All right. So make sure, as you are evaluating these different companies and you're doing these different things, that you are taking advantage of that. All right. And that you're looking at that and you're evaluating that. All right. So that's what Bending Spoon's IPO is. They take these beloved brands, they evaluate them based on new features, high prices, and unlike private equity, they never sell. All right. And the results speak for themselves. Like I said, $600 million in Q1 of this year. Crazy. Like putting up them MJ numbers. $600 million in Q1 revenue and $27 million in net income, flipping watch this. That's why I say this is the smartest thing. Flipping a $112 million loss from a year ago. All right. So in this obsessed world that's just obsessed with AI and getting more data and doing all these things, guys, there's still money in plain old software. Don't let people tell you and that's the vision. Don't let people tell you that there's no money in enterprise, or that there's no money in technology, or that people, oh my God, and that's why, if you guys see the hopefully you got this perspective tonight that shows you, if you would listen to social media people, they would tell you that software is dead. Heard that so many times. Software is going to be dead because of AI agents. You just saw when I went over tonight. That's why I'm telling you this. That's why I went over tonight, where they were talking about, he just said, AI agents aren't at that super intelligence yet. There's still a lot of time. So don't let people talk you out of basically building a successful technology company. Don't let people talk you out of building something that is successful. All right. Let me know in the chat if this makes sense. Okay. So as we are talking about the bending spoons IPO, I think they just did their IPO. Definitely look at. I always like to wait to invest in IPOs, just to kind of like let off, because at the beginning of a lot of major IPOs, that's when a lot of investors are investing, and then I like to just kind of wait until a little bit. Sometimes that can hurt you, and sometimes it can really give you that leverage. All right, so you want to make sure, again, 40% bending spoons IPO. Now let's talk about generating. One of my favorite segments that we're going to be uncovering more of is generating more wealth in technology. How do we generate more wealth? And so sometimes I'm going to be reviewing companies, and again, this is not financial advice, but I am going to kind of have this segment where I am going to be sharing with you AI stocks to watch, and also technology stocks to watch, and also data-backed app ideas, or not just app ideas, but technology. And because like one of the things I always like to say, technology can pay you in so many different ways, and so many people have this linear thinking. They have this thinking where they only think about technology from a standpoint of, well, I can't do it like the $1 trillion companies or the $1 billion companies. Well, you don't have to, because now more than ever in the greatest time in history, you shouldn't be trying to match up with some trillion or $1 billion company. You should be thinking about, how can I use the tools that are accessible to me now to actually get ahead? Okay, which we're going to go over some of those today. So let's jump into the next segment, which is, and I wanted to do this because this was so important to talk about, because like I said, this wasn't talked about a lot, right? This wasn't talked about, or should I say it wasn't talked about enough. It's like, how do you actually get a piece of the technology pie? All right, so let's talk about some stocks that I am actually looking at and I'm evaluating. I know y'all, let me know in the chat, y'all excited about this, because I don't see people talking about this. I see people talking about all these IPOs, but let me know in the chat if you are excited about this segment, which is to give you this perspective of investing into these things. Okay. So one of the things is that I will tell you is when it comes to certain stocks that I'm actually watching, and like I said, we look at this, it's not about you investing in these stocks. Okay. Sometimes what you're going to see on this segment every Thursday is sometimes I'm going to give you a new app idea that you can build based on data and statistics. We're going to cover 3 today, in my opinion, that are really good to give you these. These are backed by data. And then also sometimes it's an app idea. Sometimes it's a side playbook. All right. Now, disclaimer, nothing in this segment that I'm going to share is financial advice. All right. I am not your financial advisor. Do your own research before investing a single dollar. You got it? All right. Now, this week's market theme is the AI trade revival. Chip stocks rallied hard on Monday, and there are 3 signals that I am watching. I'm watching these kind of tech stocks a little bit because, again, investing is so important. I can't stress that enough in your long-term wealth goal. It's not just, and this is what's crazy. I tell people all the time, if you see me using a tool, I'm pretty much invested in it. Okay. Like, as much as people say, oh, I don't like Tesla, whatever your political views are, that's fine. But I drive a Tesla, right? And also what I'll tell you is I was investing in it a while back because I was a consumer of the product, regardless of that. And obviously there's values there that I don't agree with. However, if you are using a product and you do research on it, that's the time where you want to start to invest. And that's the name of the game, y'all, that I'm telling you, that at least that's my ticket out, right? The ticket um, is to essentially make the money by building in the greatest time in history, like literally using these AI tools. And that's the challenge that people have today, is that they're using these tools and they're paying for all these AI tools, and they're not fundamentally saying to themselves, how can I actually build this into a business that pays me? How can I take that and invest it into some of these $1 billion, $1 trillion valuations? That's the name of the game. And no, you don't have to invest all of your money. And sometimes you want to invest in have in the wealth game. You want to have, in terms of capitalization, you want to have it where things are spread out. Okay. But with that being said, again, this is not financial advice. I will tell you that one of the first things, I think I just shared it with you, is these are some stocks or even ETFs that I'm investing in, as it relates to this, which is Apple and Broadcom. This was something that I studied. All right. Apple and Broadcom actually is doing, you guys are probably hearing a lot about the chip people, companies and chips, and, like NVIDIA and so many other companies. Well, some of you probably have not heard in Broadcom. So take a look at Broadcom. Is definitely a stock that is worth looking at, because they just extended. This is a custom ASIC chip. All right. And they just extended this partnership with Apple. So it is good to look into this on the technical space for potentially buying some stock in these companies. All right. Because they have a multi-year revenue lock-in. Also, some of you, all of you have probably heard of NVIDIA, but some of you have not heard of Broadcom. Broadcom also built the OpenAI interference chip. Okay, most people don't know that. So Broadcom is one of my also favorites. The second one is Anthropic and Samsung. Listen, every major lab now designs its own silicone, but one of my favorite things that I'm looking at and you want to pay close attention to is getting some Anthropic stock. All right. But also looking at, especially some of these companies that have the manufacturing capability and also the power to manufacture their own AI chip. One of the things that you want to get and look at is some of these companies like Samsung that also can manufacture. They have the manufacturing power to be able to build their own chip. So super, super powerful to be able to look at Samsung again. I'm going to be looking at their stock, but your boy is holding out for Anthropic. I'm dropping some money just so y'all know. If you hold, I promise you, again, it's not financial advice, but I will tell you, like, if you hold some Anthropic stock, you will be happy. You will come back and say, Justin, thank you for telling me that. I appreciate that. Hold some Anthropic when they do IPO. I would definitely say you'll be happy if you hold on to some Anthropic stock. You will be much happy. All right, let's jump into the last one, which is Samsung earnings. I talked about Samsung. Memory hardware boom is still accelerating. Again, you need to look at this like they had $89.4 trillion operating profit. They print money. All right. So look at that. All right. Now let's jump into. All right. So one of the things that I will say is just look at these stocks. I didn't say invest in them. Look at Broadcom. Look at Anthropic. Look at some of these companies that are like Samsung and Anthropic that are actually doing some major things when it comes to chip and also amazing things. And then I'm going to talk about some cool tools that I'm using at the end that you need to also look at. Also, looking at some of the acceleration of some of these companies, like for example, just sharing this with you guys. One of my favorite tools. Well, we actually are making a pivot. Some of you know, and this is just showing you, now that we're actually building our own. Where some of you didn't know this, but asperwithai.com, team could drop the link in the chat. Make sure you get on the wait list for our new tool. All right, so you guys can see here. This is just showing you like the evaluations of these companies and what is happening. So some of you probably you could probably see this, but this is so you guys can see it. This right here is Lovable. It says Lovable reportedly in talks to double its evaluation to $13.2 billion. Some of you have used Lovable, but some of you don't look at the metrics of some of these companies. Like I told you, the goal of this is to also fine tune how we can relate this to your company, but also finding that you're seeing like where things are going, right? So Lovable is a Swedish vibe coding startup. They're in talks to raise $300 million at a valuation of $13.2 billion, exactly double the $6.6 billion valuation the company achieved last December. And look at this. It says Menlo. We just talked about Menlo, right? Menlo just went ahead and again went in there and helped fund it, right? Lovable does over $500 million a year, so they're trying to get to basically where their valuation is much bigger in the $13 billion space. Is that crazy? All right, so we got some stuff coming, y'all. So you know, all right, we got some stuff coming, so you guys can see all this amazing things. All right, let's switch it up. Let's talk about. I mean, you guys are enjoying. Let me know in the chat if you are enjoying the first Tech Thursday. A lot of insight, a lot of perspective, giving you a lot of insight so that you can not only take advantage of the largest wealth transfer in human history, which in my opinion is today, but also giving you insight into your company. Let me know in the chat if you are enjoying. Make sure you share this out because we are going to, again, be growing this channel. All right, we're going to keep growing this so that you can get all the insights and you can get all of the perspectives. All right, so let's go ahead and switch to the next segment, which is giving you app ideas that I have researched, but also ideas that you yourself can also look into for a different sake. Let me just switch to the right screen. All right, so that is what we're going to do is I want to talk about, obviously, the first app idea. This is more just so you guys know, enterprise AI, which means that this is just showing you the data is there, right? So enterprise hit almost $37 billion in spend in 2025, up from $11.5 billion the year before. Is that crazy? So technology spend, this is showing y'all like technology spend in terms of spending on these apps. I mean, spending on these companies have almost 3.2x explosion in just 1 year. Like, let me know in the chat if that's crazy. Like, that's insane. Okay. So that, and also this figuring out of agent workload consumption is also, obviously people are complaining about tokens, but again, companies are spending like crazy on tech. That's why I tell you, don't listen to things you see on social media. Don't listen to a lot of people. People are going to cost you a lot of revenue if you listen to them. I look at data because facts tell, stories sell. All right. They usually, what that means is if somebody telling you a story about something, they didn't back it up with data, they're trying to sell you something, and it's usually their solution that's not backed up with a lot of things. So let me give you guys the first idea. If you don't have an idea, or I'm gonna tell you guys some. If I weren't so busy building my building apps built with AI and also really busy with Maestro, these are companies that I would be looking at. Some of these are enterprise as well. The first one is what we call Cost Copilot. So here's the idea. All right. Remember that billing is out of, and you can also use this in the consumer market, but billing is absurd when it comes to tokens. Okay. So, like we said, Anthropic just talked about extending Fable 5 tokens. The deadline is July 12th. Multiply that across every AI provider where changes prices, tokenizes, inflating token counts by up to 35% like Sonnet 5 did. All right, so here's an idea. Here's the idea. Let me break it down to you. The idea is this. idea is that you could create a dashboard that tracks token spin across every model provider in real time. It alerts teams. This is mainly for enterprise because they spend, we just saw, I just told you guys, like they spend almost $37 billion in 2025. It's going to go up. It doubles pretty or 3x every single year. But you alert teams before billing changes hit and automatically recommends cheaper model routing for each task. Y'all see that? That's crazy. That's a crazy. Drop if that's crazy in the chat. Is that crazy, y'all? Put some fire emojis in the chat. Some of y'all could take that, and that could be a amazing idea for you to run with because it's proven, right? It's proven. And if you look at some of the amazing things, I'm telling you, man, this stuff is it blows my mind how crazy this stuff can get. All right, which is I'm gonna drop the air horn on that. Crazy how like the model is all around. Just so you guys know, the model is all around finding problems that companies are having and building. Like I talk about this in the aspect with AI training. It's like so many people are so focused on building things that nobody want. And that's not what's going to help you to build things that people want. You need to discover major problems that are happening, and companies will pay you so much money to help them save money, makes things easier, okay? Or it automates something. Let me say that again. Companies pay gobs of money to people that save them money, okay? Know how to make them more money, and then also knowing how to automate things. All right? That's what this is all about. And that's the whole challenge of it, right? You can help a company. If you can help a company solve more problems, they will pay you gobs and gobs and gobs of money. All right. And also, 37% of enterprises, of businesses now run 5 or more LLMs in production. Thinking about that, right? I saw an article the other day. It said something like, companies are not spending money on AI. I just had to go back to the data because it's like those are social media opinions. This is data, okay? So this is the first one. Again, like I said, there's some competition. You could look at Langfuse, Helicone, all the enterprise platforms. Nobody, though, has built the simple consumer-grade billing alert tool. Think of it like this. Think of it like the mint of AI spending for solo builders and small teams. Ooh, I just give y'all a fire gel. That's so amazing. Like, if you can do like the mint.com, you guys remember mint.com. If you can create the mint.com, okay, like the mint.com of AI spending, like you can completely make a lot of money, okay? Because if you could do this for solo builders and small teams, right? And the monetization of this is you have a free tier for solo developers. Then you could charge per seat for the SaaS for teams. And then you could also do a percentage of savings pricing for enterprise. Drop some fire emojis in the chat if you like that idea. That's a great idea, by the way. If you're not, listen, I just gave y'all a 6. Like, drop some fire emojis in the chat. Like, helping companies save money. I told you guys, companies pay for 3 things, or people pay for 3 things. Number 1, if you can save people money, they will pay for it, especially if they're spending a lot of money. This cost copilot for simplicity will also give you it will save you a lot of money, and it will also give you that process, right? Companies also pay if you make them more money, if you're going after the consumer market of a company or small business owners. Or number 3, people pay for when you are able to also save them more time. Not just save them more money or make them more money, but in terms of company, you can save them more time. And so if your app or your product does that, then that is key. All right, let's go to the next one, which is also fire. Let's talk about the next one. All right, like I said, $37 billion industry, y'all. The AI cost co-pilot, track token spend across every provider, billing alerts, and I promise you, some of you can actually whip this up in a weekend. This is not as hard as you think it is. You can connect a couple APIs through a couple different products, and be able to whip this up. This is absolutely one of y'all go run with it. All right. And then you're going to come back and tell me, Justin, thank you for that idea. I appreciate you. And I'm going to say what I always love to say, and that is just buy your boy just when you hit it big. All right. If I gave you that idea and you loved it, go ahead and buy your boy a house in Thailand or Bali. That's all. That's all. I just listen. I'm not telling you that's the agreement. I'm just telling you that that's what would make me happy if you didn't forget about me. All right, let's move on to idea number two. Let's move on to idea number two, which is fire. All right, this is idea number two, which is the AI trust auditor. All right, so this is also a really good idea because here's a stat. And also, guys, the ideas I'm giving you, like, they're all backed by data. That's why, in my opinion, like, that's why we've been so successful. That's why we have 30,000 customers, because anytime I do an idea, I'm always validating the idea, but I validate the idea when it comes to how much people are spending, right? Like, that's the biggest thing, okay? It's like, what are they spending? Okay. So the AI trust auditor. Okay. Here's a stat that should stop you in your tracks. All right. AI hallucination cost businesses $67 billion globally in 2024. All right. That's what AI hallucinations have cost businesses $67 globally. All right. And companies deploying AI have no tooling to catch up on it. So here's the idea. The idea is this: is output auditing their API that actually flags high hallucination risks, verifies citations, a little bit techie, but I'm telling you, there's a lot of money in it, and produces compliance ready audit trails for regulated industries. All right. So when AI, basically what it means is this. All right. And I'm giving y'all some really good ideas, not like basic ideas. I'm giving you guys like companies that can actually, like, that has a lot of data behind it. The data proves the pain point, right? So the data is $67 million in global losses because AI still hallucinates, right? And those costs are low. 47% of enterprise leaders have made major decisions based on hallucinated content, okay, where it goes off of the rails. All right. Now, companies spend an average of $14,000 per employee per year on hallucination, which means that companies are burning through that and they lose money. I told you guys the money in technology and the money in these spaces are around finding those big problems that people are not doing. And I promise you, if you use tools like Claude Code and you master these tools, that's why I tell my community all the time, if you were to lock in for 6 months, if you were to lock in for the next 6 months, I promise you things won't be the same. I'm doing the exact same thing because I look at these numbers and I look at the data and I realize that all we got to do is lock in to have the right tools. We got the right tools, find the right customers. We got the right customers. And then we just have to go after the market, which I'm showing you here, especially with Trustpilot, Trust Auditor, is that companies don't necessarily 100% trust AI. Now, that's going to be different in the future, but it is projected that the AI hallucination market is valued at $1.5 billion. So if you were to develop a tool, it is going to grow. Watch this. It's $1.5 billion last year. It is projected to grow to $26.6 billion by 2025. Okay, developer trust is collapsing because only 29% of developers trust AI outputs to be accurate. That's down from 40% though. So what that tells you is that AI is getting better, the technology is getting better, but there's still, watch this, there's still a hungry market and there's still a big market for these companies. You know, I tell people all the time, like when people tell me like, "Oh, Justin, like what do you mean by like apps?" Listen, guys, like there's so many app ideas and technology ideas that you don't need to be like you don't even need to like you just need to like you don't need to be overthinking some of the things that most people overthink. Stop overthinking these things. Okay. These are things that are out there. So the MVP, let me give you guys this. I'm gonna give you the last one before we wrap up today's Tech Thursday. All right. So the MVP is this. You don't need lab level, lab level interpretation to start. Okay. You can literally look at this and you can create something even with AI that has compliance checks for finance, healthcare, depending on where you go. Again, it's a little bit more in the enterprise level, but there's a lot of money when it comes to this as well, right? There's so much money in enterprise, and there's also money in being able to apply this to regular businesses. All right, let's talk about the final idea. All right, this one is really good. Also, I'm gonna give you guys some consumer ones in future shows. Don't worry, I promise you it's gonna be amazing. So these tonight are more like enterprise, but again, like I say, $67 billion. All right, with the trust auditor making companies more compliant, which is amazing. All right, let's do the last one, which is called the Zombie App Scout. All right, so here is similar to riding the what I call the bending spoon wave. All right, the bending spoon wave. What's the bending spoon wave? Well, bending spoon just proved that buy and revive neglected software models is worth $25 billion. But here's the thing. The indie version of this is watch this. This is what we're going to be doing, y'all. Just so you know, I'm showing you kind of a playbook that me and my company with Haru Investments are going to be doing. That is also looking at companies that are life changing, but they're not really getting a lot of exposure, right? So here's the idea. The idea is indie version of the playbook is exploiting too, but the tooling for it doesn't exist. So here's the idea. You have an AI scout that scans the app stores. This is genius, right? This is like the version of this, right? So you have an AI scout that scans the app stores and acquisition marketplaces for neglected apps with loyal users, scores their potential, and delivers ranked deal flow to your inbox. So you're actually being the middle person of helping people instead of them starting new companies, find these companies and acquire them. So think about acquire.com, right? If you don't know what acquire.com is, this is where the data lies and proves the pain point, okay? So this is where the data lies. The data doesn't lie. I told you people lie, data doesn't. And that's why I tell you guys I don't argue with people online who don't have data, who don't look at the data, assess the data, and say, here's why we're going in this direction. They just got a lot of their information off of a social media post, which is not the best way to do things because I've heard so much conflicting information this week that I know wasn't true. So acquire.com has processed $500 million in closed deal volume across 2,000 startups sold with 500,000 registered entrepreneurs hunting for deals. That means that how many of you guys, if you are watching this, you're in the buy businesses space? I think I met somebody like that. This is a great opportunity for you if you are knowing that there's so much opportunity in buying and selling businesses, then this is a great opportunity. Because like I said, acquire.com processed $500 million across 2,000 different startups, and there's 500,000 registered users hunting for deals. The challenge is there's no apps or there's no processes to do this. There's also sites like flippa.com where you can make micro acquisitions, right? And the micro acquisitions market is growing. Speaking of which, you need to also have the thought process of selling, of thinking with the end in mind. When you're developing an app or you're developing a piece of technology, you need to be thinking about acquisition. How can I position my company to be sold? Yes, I'm glad that you are thinking about making money, but think bigger. All right. Like I tell people all the time, think bigger than what you're thinking. That is what is going to help you. If you think bigger than what you're currently thinking, your life will absolutely change. All right. So, Flipper.com is claims over $2 million, 2 million registered buyers. That's your customer base. People looking for deals, but they don't have the tools to know what deals are there. Now, here's the gap in this idea. The gap is you do deal discovery on these marketplaces. It's still manual scrolling. Nobody has built a Zillow, watch this, zero style data layer where it reviews the velocity, rating trends, estimated post AI earnings for digital asset acquisition. What you guys are going to see a lot is you guys are going to see a lot of micro acquisitions because companies are realizing that these companies are growing and your company could be potentially there. That's why we have Peru Investments. You guys get my team post in the chat. You guys can have a chat with us to potentially get your company ready for acquisition. All right. And that's also what I do. Every company that I built, I'm always looking at how can I get it ready for acquisition. I'm not just thinking about how can I make an income. That's cool. But when you think, I feel like when you have this income mentality, it takes you away from the opportunity of technology. Okay. Which again, the technology space is humongous. I don't even think people can even grasp how big the technology space is. And that's why I'm breaking it down. All right. I'm breaking it down to this simplicity part is because I want you to understand all the amazing things that's happening in tech and how you can get your piece of the pie. All right. So lastly, for this Zombie App Scout is MVP. What does MVP stand for? MVP stands for minimal viable product. That means building a minimal viable product. So what you would do is you could scrape the app store metadata, marketplace listings, build a revitalization score, and then basically it will ship them deals every week. You could start a paid newsletter. You can grow it into a full SaaS, software as a service. And then watch this. This is one of my favorite ways to make money off of technology that a lot of people don't do. It is making money on the success fees. All right. Think about Airbnb. Airbnb does not charge you for monthly fees, right? Airbnb makes their money off of percentages. Also, Anthropic makes their money off of tokens and credits. And so they make their money off of recurring, but they make most of their money off of tokenization and also recurring. Okay. So that's the biggest thing. All right. So that's the idea. Like I said, post below if you enjoyed that. Those are some good apps, y'all. Those are some good, like, that wasn't just like, no, here's an Airbnb competitor, right? I put some thought into those. Those are really, really good. Like once you dive deep into, in my opinion, like once you dive so deep into, like major problems of a company, that's when you start to get ideas and also what we call the recurring necessity of using these things every day. If your company has AI attached to it, there's a recurring process. One of my favorite books that I recommend that you get, if you want to develop products, if you want to develop products, one of my favorite books that I am actually currently reading, I'm also going to be sharing this with you guys, is, let me see if you can see that. Let me see if the camera will get it. It's called Hooked. All right. One of my favorite books. It's called Hook. How to Build Habit Forming Products. All right. I'm actually reading this book because we are building. I told you guys, like, I have a $100 million goal, and that is what I am building. All right. So we are thinking much, much bigger. Okay. That's what we're building. All right. So rapid fire and cool tools. All right. Rapid fire and cool tools. Last part of this segment. Let me know in the chat if you enjoying the first Tech Thursdays, man. This is so I had fun. Y'all had fun. Let me know in the chat if you enjoyed it. How many of you guys didn't even know it was gonna be this fun? You didn't even know you was gonna go through this. And if you got any feedback, post in the chat, man. We gonna again. This show is going. We're gonna grow this thing because they're just so. I wish that I had something like this where people introduce me to so many amazing tools, resources happening in AI and tech, and just breaking down like how valuable tech is. That was just one of my biggest things. Was like, yo, how can I, how can I actually not just build something, but how can I make a difference? How can I actually build something that is changing the lives of other people? All right. So let me introduce you. I'm gonna introduce you to some tools that I'm testing that I use. There's also some new tools that are coming out that you guys want to know about. But as you guys know, there is just some of the things that are happening. So, one of my favorite tools, this is Story 2 that I'm going to mention before we get out of here. One of my favorite tools is there's one which is Higsfield. I mean, you guys have heard of Higsfield. One of my favorite AI tools, man. I love Higsfield. This AI tool is taking off. They combine with everything. How many of you guys have heard of Higsfield? Let me share my screen for a second so you guys can see it. But Higsfield, man, is really growing as it relates to tech. Higsfield is just amazing tool. Let me pull it up on the screen real quick. But man, Higsfield, amazing technology, man. They do. I mean, it's too many options in here though. They need to simplify their menu. But one of my favorite AI tools, man, I built some amazing ads. And great part is that they connect to MCP and CLI and Claude, man, really amazing. You could just type into Claude once you connect the MCP and CLI in here, man. You could build out so many like app. You can build out an app. You can build out just so many things. They now have an app builder, but you ain't gonna use the app builder over here because you're gonna use, which is the next thing, you're gonna use the new apps build with AI. Dropping in 3 weeks, man. We having our own app builder. Make sure y'all get on the wait list team. Drop the link in the chat. We got our own app builder coming out, but you guys are gonna love it. It's super simple and it is amazing. So drop that in the chat. But Higsfield allows for you to build short explainer videos. They connect with everything. Like I said, the video quality, man, is getting so just crazy. I built an entire ad. I built like 10 ads from AI just using Higsfield. It's crazy. And it's absolutely amazing. The next tool that I like is Perplexity. That's one of the tools that I like. It's starting to become my favorite. I used to just use Claude for everything, but now I'm kind of venturing out because you can build AI agents and you can build super workflows with Perplexity. I have Perplexity Pro. I pay a lot for AI tools because they just make my life easier. And then some things that you need to be looking out for. This just dropped today. I'm sorry, a few days ago. Meta is trying to get into the AI coding space. Good luck, because they usually they usually ruin things when they get into them because of customer support. But Meta is, I'm sorry, this is the wrong article. Meta is coming into the coding space with something called Muse Spark. All right. So they are dropping this AI tool, man. I just told y'all there's just so much. As you guys can see, the space is heating up. It's not slowing down. Stop letting people, talk you out of because they see one company drop. They be seeing one company drop and they be like, you be thinking like, oh my God, like everything is going terrible. one company drop in valuation, and all of a sudden everybody's screaming, "Oh my goodness, Jay, what is going on? Oh my God, the software space." I'm like, stop letting people talk you out of the amazing thing that's happening. And that's what we summarize tonight. So, that's the amazing things. That's this week's breakdown. Some of the summary, y'all, is we are in the era of unregulated frontier models that seems to be kind of closing in the gap, but the application layer is just exploding. All right. And so let me know in the chat if you got a lot of perspective out of this Tech Thursday, man, because like I said, we got more coming for y'all, man. We got so much in store. Let me know in the chat if y'all enjoyed this. I like this. This was cool. This was real good, man. We went through a lot of different. Let me know in the chat if y'all really enjoyed this, man. This was beautiful. I appreciate y'all for rocking out with us. But yeah, man, use the tools. Here's the summary for this week's breakdown, right? The AI space and the technology space is still the wild west. All right. The average company, even though we just talked about billions of dollars, the average company still doesn't know about AI, and the average company still doesn't know a lot about the tech and that you can build this. So do not listen to naysayers. Build whatever it is you have an idea about. That is my mission. That is my vision with apps, with AI, and also some of my other companies. Is to show people that technology, while it can do harm sometimes, it also can do a lot of good, and it could also change your business. It could change your life. And that is my mission. My mission is to prove to people that this is the easiest time in history, that you did not have to go through where I spent millions of dollars developing this. And so I want to leave you with this word of encouragement and this word of advice. Like I said, drop some love in the chat. I want to see all of the amazing things, man. I love to just hear. I get so many. Let me just tell y'all, man, I get so many people that just tell me like so many amazing things. And also, man, make sure that you are also subscribed to the channel. All right. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, man. Make sure y'all are subscribed to the channel. Or subscribe to the notification bell so that y'all know when I'm dropping new videos. Y'all about to see so much content from me and so many amazing things. Let me know in the chat though if you have gotten an interesting perspective, if your mind has been expanded, and if this has benefited you in so many different ways. Let me know in the chat, man. This has been amazing for some of you. Now, like I said, I want to leave you with this. I want to leave you with this word. Okay. I want to leave you with this so that you know how you can walk away from this. Okay. In a sense of with some data that really helps you. I tell people you're at 3 different levels when it comes to technology. Number 1, you are either in the ideation phase. You don't know what idea you have. Keep tapping in, keep tuning in. This is going to get better. The show is going to keep being improved, and we're going to grow this thing. That's why I need you guys to share this out so that you can also be here. All right. That's the whole thing. Number 2, man, like cut your expenses, man. Look at your expenses in terms of your company as you're building, or think about this with the end in mind. And then also that's going to give you that trajectory and that perspective for you to keep growing. And then the biggest thing of the day is, man, get those wheels turning, man. Like go out there and take action. Like don't look back. I tell people, man, the greatest thing that you don't want to be is you don't want to be somebody that's full of regrets, right? You don't want to be somebody that's just full of regrets. You don't want to, the greatest, as they say, man, the greatest place with all the ideas in the cemetery. Those are people who just got the ideas. Now we have access to the tools. Now we have apps that we can invest in 5 minutes. Like guys, like, man, when I think about my ancestors and I think about just so many people that came before me, man, they didn't have all this stuff that we have, y'all. And this is the greatest time in history. When I tell people that all the time, I think they think that I'm capping and they think that I'm just talking crazy. But I'm here to tell you, man, this is the greatest time in history. If you go all in on this stuff, man, and it's not just reserved for the companies that you see, it's reserved for you. Okay, it's reserved for you. You can do this too. You can literally, and that's what I'm doing, man. Every day I'm building, even on vacation, whatever it is. Every day I'm investing. Every day I'm looking at ways to really tap into making the world a different place with technology. And that's what, again, that's why Tech Thursdays was born, because we're gonna keep growing this thing. So listen, I'm excited, man. Go ahead, implement those ideas. Subscribe to the channel, man. Make sure that you are here with us. Get on the wait list. We do got a workshop. If you want to take advantage of this as well and tap in with us and build the ecosystem. I am building this major ecosystem, and I want you guys to be a part of it, man. So make sure that you also get on the wait list for our apps built with AI. We got a workshop coming up in the next 14 days, I believe. Man, make sure you get in our workshop, man. I'm gonna go deeper this time about how to build the future, how to build any product. All right, make sure you get on the wait list for our apps built with AI drop happening next month, or at the end of the month. We are dropping the first version of our apps built with AI platform that will allow for you to build any app, and then also just stay in store for some of the things we got coming. So with that being said, live life on the edge, man. Live life to the fullest and live life in love. All right. That's what in my opinion, we were put here to do, is to live life in love. All right. Past all the drama and everything you see on social media. This is the greatest time in history. Live in love, man. Do some amazing things in the world and change other people's lives other than yours. So I'm appreciative. Thank you guys for checking out for the first episode of The Future Is Now weekly Thursday show. We're going to see you guys next Thursday. All right. At, again, 7 p.m. Eastern, man. Share this. This recording should be up here soon. Share this out with somebody who can benefit from this. Much love. Appreciate you guys. I'll see you on the next episode. Subscribe to the channel. All right. Peace.